All right, we are live. 1 like already. Awesome. Amazing. That's what I like to see. Hello, who was ever here already? I do see 1 like, and I know I can't like myself. Oh, we got one other person in now. Pops, how are you? I'm so glad to see you. MJ, Nick, DB Mac, Nicholas Carroll, Tijuana Border Jumper. Pops, I'm so glad you got service on the train. That's great. Omaha, no kidding. Pamela, how are you? Suzuki Smith, Nicole, Herman, Grave Dank, how are you? Adam Condon, Troy, Harry Griffin, how are you guys? Daniel Lauderdale, how are you, brother? All right, so I was going to make the announcement that Pups would not be here tonight, but Pups is on location on a train heading across the country. And Jane will not be here. Thank you. It's my new Gorillaz t-shirt. I one of my favorite bands, as well as like metal and stuff, but I love the Gorillaz and have for a long time. Thank you, Amanda. How are you tonight? Sharon, how are you? Delirium. What's going on? Aramook. How are you, my brother? Will Rocks? Simone. There you are. We missed you a couple weeks. It's been Pop, Simone, and Jane has been like the missing in action crew. Thank you, Herman. I appreciate that. Yeah, I just got it the other day. It's like an old what is that? Popcorn. I shouldn't have ate popcorn before the live stream. It's either popcorn or ramen. There we go. That's better. Fucking grub bag that I am. Oh, man. I needed this tonight. I really did. It's the band The Gorillaz, and it says Pink Rabbit says shoot to ill. Oh, Bob, how are you? Turbo Christ. Sonny, how are you? Claire Harris, Ben Sellers, how are you? Rick, what's going on? That was my best Negan impersonation. Mikey, I responded to your email. I believe that was you that just emailed me tonight. I responded to it. And I apologize. I'm so far behind on emails. I just got so much shit going on, and I apologize. So I will be getting to it. 175, Marcy, Johnny Midnight, how are you? I have gotten hey, Rita, Julie. So I want to thank Julie personally at the live stream. I couldn't get to the store tonight. Belle's not feeling great, so I couldn't get to the store. Jenny, how are you? Teresa Wilkins, K-Dog, how are you? Sniff it out. Julie, who is in the live tonight. I like bandanas. I collect bandanas, actually. And how cool is that bandana? There we go. And it's a good size. It's not a small sized bandana. So Julie, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It came today. Awesome. And I hope I didn't embarrass you, but I love to thank people when they send me gifts. It's truly sick. I love it. Andy Davis, how are you? Right, Arabic? It is sweet. And it's mine. Oh. So I have an assortment, and I've said this a couple of different times. Madman Mark, how are you? I've said it a couple different times. There's Shackleneck. How are you, brother? That I have like an assortment of different experiences. And for some reason, it always feels like it ends up being the same kind of like. But tonight, I really did go deep into the vault of experiences and dug out some ones that I was surprised to find, locate, and I think you guys are gonna like them. I actually found a former prison guard at a very large prison that was haunted share his experience. Chronicle of Cryptids, how are you, Marianne? Also, really quick, I know you guys like the funny lot lizard stuff. And I made this announcement on one of the live streams the other day. But when I started this channel, I had no idea what I was doing. I was like watching everything I could. Funny, not funny. Just I still watch everything I want to watch on YouTube, but like I don't have like my own I don't have a set list of what I watch. But there's a channel that he's a very good friend of mine. He started his channel like 3 years before I started mine. And he writes all of his own comedic / horror stories, similar to the Lizzo stories. And he does it in a comedic voice. So much so, my dad is a stickler. Like, my dad does not think certain things are funny. And my dad loves this channel. If you guys could, after the live, go check C Mustard. Check out his channel. Give him a shot. If you don't like it, that's awesome too. But just give it a shot to see. Tyler Marshall, how are you? Monkey Crap, how are you? What's up, 555? Mr. Anderson. Really good channel. It's a really good channel. He is vulgar. I will tell you that. But it's funny as heck. So C Mustard. After the live stream, give it a listen. Not Colonel Mustard, just C Mustard. He's probably going to pop in on the live stream tonight just to see, like the letter C Mustard. He's probably going to pop in tonight. When I hit the 100,000, I'm going to do a comedic thing with him. And we're going to do a story of Lizzo. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a paragraph and send it to him. He'll write a paragraph, send it to me. And that's kind of how I want it to do and see how everything works out. So if you guys could, that would mean a lot to me. He only has 8,000 subscribers and he is so talented. He's just such a talented dude. And a dad, 2 kids, 2 daughters, just a nice guy. Actually, Monkey Crap, it's only 864. We're doing good. We are doing good. I cannot believe it. Alan, how are you? I didn't go anywhere. I've been here, Alan. I have been here. Hey, Record Girl, how are you? Brian Windland, how are you? Said Dogman had not killed humans. Really upset because folks need. Yeah, Bob. Whoever said Dogman has not killed humans, Tim Coonbo Baker has been researching this phenomena, this whatever you want to call them, for like 50 to 60 years, longer than anyone out there, and he knows for a fact that these things have killed. Bigfoot have killed. You know, they necessarily don't kill all the time. That's the thing. They don't. They're more terrifying than anything. I believe they like to play with people's emotions. Like they kind of they're like that peeping Tom that like instead of checking out naked people, they like to scare people, you know? So SDL, Jesse Good, how are you? So tonight we will start the night off. Like I'm telling you, I've got some awesome stories. Like the first couple are great. So Paranormal, Dogman, Crawler. I got a Black Eyed Kids one. couple other really good things. So, and I've got three really really awesome Lizzo stories. It took me, normally I write them in like 3 hours. It'll take me a couple hours to write them down. I started working on these Lizzo the Lot Lizard stories Wednesday night. So I'm pretty happy with them. Evan Hawk, how are you? 11 Axel. Robert Sharp, how are you, brother? You're hurting. That is no good. Thank you, Tyler Marshall. Maggie Mayhem, thank you so much. Wow, awesome. Thank you. All right. East Tennessee is known for its ghost stories and storytelling in general, as is common in the Appalachian culture. The Cherokee felt connected to their region spiritually, and the Europeans that replaced them have too. Look up the legend of the Wampus Cat sometime. So here are my own set of experiences, all in relation to Johnson City, as I am originally from that area. In college, before any of my friend group could drink, we got wild hairs and decided to go to ghost busting. Excuse me, sorry. And decided to go ghost busting, that's what we called it. This usually involved us loading up into a vehicle and cruising through the hollers and hills of East Tennessee. We had done our research, be it on the internet or in local ghost story books, and found quite a few places to explore. The first of which I will mention is exit 27 ramp off of I-26 near Irwin. Legend has it that a group of high schoolers were killed by a drunk driver while coming off the ramp one night, many decades ago after prom. Now their spirits watch the ramp, pushing vehicles back up the ramp and away from the bisecting road. I can personally attest to this experience. If you go at night and there usually isn't any other traffic, you can stop your car at the bottom of the ramp, put it in neutral. Doing so will make your car roll back up the ramp. Second place, also near Irwin, is called Bumpus Cove. From what I can remember, there are several stories about this place, including a Confederate cemetery with ghosts. We could never find it, and GPS kept taking us to a house. Those poor people. We did, however, find a family cemetery with a paved road around it. Legend had it that if you drove around this cemetery on a full moon 3 times, a ghost vehicle or Jeep would chase you down the mountain. This cemetery was isolated and near the Cherokee National Forest. I don't think we ever managed to do this on a full moon. We still got scared, though, since the cemetery sat on a hill. We would see illuminated crosses poking up from the graves. Under the night sky, this was horrifying to see. The third I will share is the Job Cemetery in downtown Irwin. The cemetery is located in town but sinks down into a creek in heavily forested area. I believe at the back end there is a large, or was once a large, rail yard. Well, legend has it that the ghost of a murderous hobo who apparently was killed in a brawl in Irwin haunts the cemetery. We explored the cemetery numerous times but never saw much once again. It was very creepy and unsettling to go back down into the back part of the cemetery, so close, yet so far away from the living world. Another experience we found was about an abandoned old house called Gwendolyn's house, which was off of Bristol Highway between Piney Flats and Elizabethton. This house was allegedly haunted, and tales of it can be found, or could be found when we looked years ago on topics. I don't really know the backstory, but we went to it on several occasions and got scared out of our minds. The house sat on a 1-lane road, maybe Coons Road, Konnez Road, and literally falling in. 2 in our group were brave enough to check it out. The other guy and I stayed in the car, and one in the car with me was our friend who boasted about believing in rationale and logic and obviously did not believe in ghosts. He ended up having a panic attack in the car and swore he saw an old lady in the upper story window rocking in a chair, looking and pointing right at him. Anyway, that is my experiences from East Tennessee. Thank you. Samora Osborne, how are you? Kathleen Norris. I can see you, Jan. I can see you. Try refreshing the page, Jan. Jan Isherwood. Try refreshing. Alligator, how are you? I apologize. I don't know what's going on with my throat tonight. Kathleen, no, I did not. Could you please email it to me again? If I did, I would have responded like really quick, or Mikey just emailed me and I said, hey, I will be getting in touch with you very soon. Tigger may pop in tonight. What's up, Sully? How are you, brother? What's up, DL? How are you, my friend? Thank you, Joe. Thank you. We'll save that one. We'll jump into a Dogman experience right now. To the Dogman experience. I cannot figure out what's going on with my throat. What do you think of the haircut, guys? I got a haircut the other day. Someone said go back to the bowl cut, so I kind of did. I was like, I guess that's what we'll do. I think it looks all right. I don't know about this side, though. Yeah, it's getting long again. I cannot wait until it's super, super long. I miss it so much. I mean, it wasn't that long, but I looked back in other like old lives and I was like, damn, it was really long. I'm a dapper damn man, SDO. Thank you, Marcy. All right. I've heard of this sort of thing, but only briefly. I have never really thought much of it, nor have I ever done any reasonable research into it. I figured this may be a good place to start. This is an odd experience of how I came to see the Dogman. At around midnight, I live in a neighborhood, by the way, but we were on the edge of a large forest behind our house, so not completely rural. Funny part of the experience. I set a live trap for a mouse that night, catch and release. I can't stand to harm anything. It triggered at midnight with a loud pop, and the door woke me up. I decided I didn't want to just leave it in the cage all night long for the morning. I could hear the damn thing trying to chew through the wires, and I didn't want him to torture himself or get hurt attempting to get out. So I decided to just take him outside immediately. Instead of releasing the mouse in the yard by my house, I took a 3-mile hike into the forested area. I am not cruel enough to just release him by someone else's house, thus causing them the mouse issue. Irrelevant info, I know. Before I even got going, my stomach began hurting like never before. It was a horrible, foreboding feeling that was almost telling me something terrible was going to happen. There was no reason for my stomach to suddenly start hurting. I essentially never had stomach problems like this. It's exceedingly rare. I just don't get aches. But this was an awful pain on the pain scale. So I decided to drive. I got into the car with the little cage going down the street. It was literally only 1 block away from my house that I instantly slowed on the brakes because something enormous at the side of the road. At first, I thought, well, that's got to be the tallest dog I had ever seen. Its silhouette was blacker than night. As I slowed my car to maybe 20 to 15, it suddenly came out onto the street and walked across in front of my car. It was not running, but it was not going slow either. I suddenly realized that this was definitely no ordinary dog, and I knew that it was not a bear either because it did not have much of that bear belly. This was 3 or 4 times the size of a wolf, and so I can confirm it was not a wolf. What I saw looked like a humanoid literally hunched over on all fours, back erect in a hunch, moving with a pace across the road. The head was distinctly wolf-like and enormous, literally just like a giant wolf. The being had jet black fur, as black as hair can get, the legs lanky. My brain froze. Instantly, I began rationalizing, but it was fairly impossible to rationalize what I had seen. Closest thing I can compare this to would be the werewolf from Harry Potter that Professor Lupin turns into. All I can think of is, how did they know? That's nearly identical to what this thing looked like. It was hunched over, walking on all fours. It was horrifying. It was literally quite accurate to looking like the exact CGI rendering. On all fours, its backside, probably 4.5 feet in height, the head higher, easily reaching 5 feet. Again, there was no way this was a bear or any other regular beast we are familiar with as humans. There is nothing familiar about this. To anyone who may say, maybe it was just a really large dog that was sick and hunched over, definitely not. It was bigger than the largest dog breeds. To be over 4 feet in height at the back, not the head, while hunched over, definitely not a regular dog breed. Impossible to be a bear, as none are this skinny. The humanoid aspect of it could not be denied. You could tell that if it wanted to, it could have easily stood on its hind legs. What is more insane is that I could feel its energy. The energy was dark, oppressive, and really just a sense of danger swept over me. It had a very otherworldly energy to it. To continue, I slowly continued driving and quickly stared over to the left side of the road as I was passing to see where it had gone. I was able to see its silhouette in the brush, looking back at me, watching pass. I did not want to stop. I was terrified. I went and did my mission to release this little guy. But I can tell you this, when I got home, I ran into my garage, shut that garage door as quickly as possible. I was panicked and truly terrified. When you know what you saw, you know what you saw, they always say. I also know my mind didn't just fill in blanks or hallucinate this. That night, I looked up stories of Dogman to find other people's descriptions. What are the odds? Almost identical. Thank you for allowing me to share. Also, I wanted to let you guys know that this happened in Oregon. I saw a Dogman. Yes, monkey crap. 1994. John Sumner, how are you? Maybe I will 175 hydro. Maybe I will. I can tell you this. I was much more, I was upset about Ozzy, but I was much more upset finding out the Hulkster. The Hulkster, the real American hero. My goodness. I will blow the horn soon, AG, soon. Hey, have you heard of Okura Mountain in New Mexico? Military domes. I'll look into it, Frank. I will look into it. Oh my God, it was so sad. And then people were saying like how deaths happen in threes, and they were I got your email. I did just get your email, Kathleen. Hang on, I just want to make sure. Yes, I did. Kathleen Norris. So they sent, I got it, Kathleen. Thank you. So they say that death happens in threes, and they said Malcolm Jamal Warner, Ozzy, and the Hulkster. I see Ozzy and the Hulkster, but Malcolm Jamal Warner, he was a famous person, but not as famous as Ozzy and the Hulkster. So I mean, I don't know. Strange, very strange. Hang on 1 second. I got to check on Belle. She just got up. She's not feeling good. That's why I don't have my Cokes. Give me 1 second. Put it in that Red Bull. Sorry, guys. Belle's not feeling good, so I just wanted to check on her. She went into the kitchen. She's making some soup really quick. So, Kathleen Norris, I did get your email. Jessica, how are you? So, really quick, I mean, Malcolm Jamal Warner was Theo from the Cosby Show, but was he like? I mean, when you think of the threes, like Hogan, Ozzy, and Betty White, Hogan, Ozzy, and I don't know. I don't want to say anybody because I don't want to jinx anybody. You know what I mean? I can see it. Not really a big star. You know what I mean? It's tragic that he passed. It's god darn tragic. But I mean, he was young. He didn't look too old. He was Theo from the Cosby Show. So, I mean, he looked to be about, when I was like 10, he was probably 20. So he's probably like 50, maybe 60. That's really young. Yeah, Malcolm Jamal Warner. That's what I'm saying, Kathleen. Yes. 57. Holy cow. I was, wow, pretty much spot on. Holy moly. Oh, not laughing at that, but I just think it's weird, you know, that people are saying like that. Like, oh, thank you. Thank you, Class B. Thank you very much. I do too. I don't like it when she's sick. Yeah, he died as well. 54. Okay, I got 57 and 54. Who's going to be right? No, I'm just kidding. Shall we rumble to the death? I mean, if they said Ozzy, Hulkster, and Chuck Norris, oh my God, the world's ending. It happened in threes. The Hulkster, Chuck Norris, the man who makes the sky cry, and Ozzy. All right, here we go. I had moved to Minnesota 6 months ago. It's a pretty cold state, more or less. I love it here. It's very peaceful, and when it snows, it's very beautiful. However, my image of Minnesota was changed the other night. Me, my mom, and stepdad were all sitting down watching a movie in the living room. As the movie was about to end, we paused it because mom wanted to go smoke and I needed to use the restroom. Once I'm back from using the bathroom, I go and sit down by my stepdad. A few seconds later, mom opens the patio door and yells for us to get out here. We rush outside and she tells us that she started hearing noises of something large walking in the snow. When she started to look around for where the noises were coming from, about 40 feet away was a white trailer. She said that when she looked over there, she saw something with red eyes staring back at her. She said it looked like a really big dog. At first, my stepdad said that it was probably a coyote. Then I started to think on how my mom heard a coyote walking in the snow 40 to 50 feet away. Not really rational. I realized that it had to have been something much larger and heavier. I've always been one to believe in paranormal. My mom, not so much. We look around for a bit longer, and then we go back inside. A few hours later, I leave my room to go and grab a soda. I continue playing Halo. After the whole event, I have had this unshakable feeling, so I decide to look outside to reassure myself that she was just seeing things. As my eyes scan the edge of the woods, I don't really see much. I take a deep breath and I grab the soda and close the fridge. As I close the door, I glimpse out the window and freeze. Sure enough, I see a pair of red eyes peering at me through the trees. I couldn't see much because of how dark it was. It was around 3 a.m., but I know what I saw. I saw something that I've never seen before. Those red eyes went right through me. Then, as quick as I had seen them, they disappeared. Not cool. Not cool. Truth Quest, how are you? Patrice, how are you? Jarrett Keith, how are you? What's up, Gingerbeard? How are you, my friend? Bandito. I'm not sure. It's if you're rebooting, it's on your end. It's not on my end, dear. Delirium. Thank you so much. Thank you. I am not worthy. I am not worthy. Thank you so much, Delirium. How are you feeling? Saw Sabbath in the back in the day. Delirium does rock. Thank you, Delirium. I cannot appreciate, or I cannot say how much I appreciate it. AJ, how are you? I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. But yeah, I hope it's not Nature Boy. Me too. Me too. Rick, I liked Ric Flair better than the Hulkster, but not in the hospital, so pretty good. All right, at least you're not in the hospital. At least you are not in the hospital. Jager, congratulations. Congratulations, Jager187 for 3 years, man. That is amazing. Congratulations. And you know what? That is I hate using the cliche things, but one day at a time is true. And I really do like I'm going to be 10 years sober in April. So a while now, but whatever. But I don't consider that 10 years. Like, as long as I'm sober for today and tomorrow and the next day, that's how I look at it. But congratulations, Jager. Amanda, here's my email. Janie is sick tonight, guys. Just to let everyone know. My email is underneath Sage. I quit vaping in November and haven't smoked weed since March. Awesome, Sage. Congratulations. Congratulations. When am I going up to where Tom Eslick disappeared? Probably not for another week or two. Right now we're having like maybe that's why my throat's so fucked up. Right now we're having air quality warning, not warning, whatever, where the red thing is telling you not to go outside because for some reason there's large air particles in the sky and it's warm. And I'm not going to go hiking in humidity, especially up there. I sweat in the winter when I'm up there. It's too hot. So I'll probably go in like a week, maybe a week and a half. I don't really like going there in the summer anyway because it's just too hot. Quit drinking in 2016. Guys, it is amazing. Like, here's something that I thought about, and I've shared this before, and I shared it a while ago, and I've heard other people talk about it since then, but I really do believe that there is a correlation between people who have seen these things or even the paranormal and addiction. I don't know what it is. I've looked into it quite extensively, actually, and I would say, and I'm not breaking anyone's trust or anonymity because I'm not mentioning names, but I would say like 70% of the people that I've ever spoken to about these things have had some sort of addiction in their lives. So I think that it's just something is going on. Nothing yet, AI Sparks or Al Sparks. I think it's a lot lizard story time, though. Is that what time it is? All I need is 2 yeses, or if not, 2 no's for regular experiences. Thank you, Rosebud. We got 1, 2. There we go. Jim Baker. Jim Baker. You could ask Jim Baker if he wanted a fucking lollipop, and he would still say no. What's up, Jim Baker? How are you, my friend? All right, let me find. All right, and I did include, because someone asked about putting a neck beard in one. And I did put a neck beard in one, but it's not this one. The air in the rusty rigged truck stop hung thick and greasy. A potent blend of stale coffee, diesel fumes, and desperation. It was past midnight, and the fluorescent lights hummed with a weary resignation that mirrored the few patrons scattered about. But in the men's room, a different kind of energy was brewing. Amber and Christina, 2 self-proclaimed lot lizard shamans who mainly traded in dubious favors and questionable hygiene, were hunched over a particularly grimy toilet bowl. Their stringy hair, more oil slick than locks, fell over the bony shoulders as they chanted a series of garbled phrases from a dog-eared pamphlet titled Demons for Dummies, a beginner's guide to portal opening. They were skinny, gross, and utterly convinced of their own dark power, though their usual clientele understood that the only thing they summoned was a bad rash. Now, Christina, you got the essence of despair, Amber said, pointing a chipped painted nail at a plastic baggie containing what suspiciously looked like an old hot dog. Christina, who always had a runny nose, added a certain Jaja, nodded vigorously. And the tears of a lonely trucker, she added, gesturing vaguely to a half-empty bottle of cheap vodka. Their ritual was a haphazard mess of truck stop debris and mispronounced Latin, aiming to conjure a creature of untold power. Well, they hadn't quite figured out why, maybe for free gas, maybe for a new pair of pleather boots. Just as Christina was about to drop the essence of despair into the scummy water, the door creaked open. Bubba, a man whose gut preceded him by a good 2 steps, ambled in, a copy of Big Rig Monthly tucked under his arm. He grunted at the 2 women. He had seen weirder things in that bathroom. He headed for the furthest stall, his eyes already glazed over in anticipation of a peaceful private moment. He settled onto the cold ceramic, the porcelain groaning a little in protest, and sighed contentedly. Just as he was about to achieve peak relaxation, the toilet he was sitting on began to rumble. Not the usual plumbing rumble, but a deep guttural vibration that resonated through his very bones. Bubba frowned. Now what in tarnation? The water in the bowl, already suspiciously in color, began to chum violently. A sickly green glow emanated from beneath them, and a putrid stench like rotten eggs mixed with old tires filled the air. Bubba's eyes widened to saucers as a scale, clawed hand, dripping with sewage, burst through the water, followed by a serpentine head with glowing red eyes and rows of needle-sharp teeth. "Ah!" Bubba screamed, was a high-pitched shriek of pure unadulterated terror. He launched himself off of that toilet with the speed that defied his mass, his pants still around his ankles, tripping over his own feet as he scrambled out of the stall, leaving a trail of wet footprints and bewildered terror. The men's room door burst open, and Bubba, pants still bunched around his knees, careened into the main dining area, bellowing, "Demon! Poopy demon! It came from the toilet!" Behind him, slithered out of the bathroom, with a triumphant, squelching thwimp, was a creature. It was indeed reptilian, gray and scaly, roughly the size of a large bear, with a whip-like tail that smashed a display of air fresheners, sending pine tree cutouts scattered like confetti. Its red eyes scanned the room, a low growl reverberating in its chest, and panic erupted. Coffee cups went flying, truckers, usually unflappable, scrambled over the tables. The reptilian demon let out a guttural roar, swiping a paw, sending the entire pie display, cherry and apple, splattering across bewildered waitress. It was a chaotic mess of flailing limbs and terrified screams. The creature's gaze landed on the jukebox, a relic from the 80s, its neon lights flickering. With a casual swipe of its tail, the beast struck the machine. There was a shower of sparks, a mournful electronic hiss, and then, from the now broken speaker, a tinny, relentless beat began. I'm too sexy for my shirt, too sexy for my shirt. The demon paused, head cocked, as if confused by the instant medley. Then, perhaps annoyed, perhaps simply embarrassed for the chaos, it let out another roar and continued its rampage, the upbeat, self-exaggerating anthem of Right Said Fred playing on a maddening loop, a truly surreal soundtrack to the unfolding pandemonium. Earl, a man of quiet habits and even quieter dignity, sat at the counter nursing his seventh cup of coffee. He was a creature of routine, and his demonic interruption was severely impacting his ability to enjoy his breakfast burrito. But more importantly, it was threatening Lizzo. Lizzo, the undisputed queen of lot lizards, a woman whose mere presence commanded respect, was attempting to placate the creature with a stale donut. Now, big fella, she cooed, her voice surprisingly calm. There's no need for all this fuss. Got some fresh fried chicken back here if you like. The demon merely snarled, its tail whipping toward her. Earl saw red. Lizzo, his Lizzo, the woman who had once years ago shared her last 20 with him, when his rig broke down in the middle of nowhere, was now in danger. A newfound strength, a simmering, provocative rage ignited in his soul. It wasn't just rage. It was raw, untamed bravado of a man who had faced down blizzards, blown tires, and bad gas station coffees for decades. All right, you overgrown iguana, Earl bellowed, a primal roar that cut through the cacophony of the ridiculous music and yelling. He grabbed the heavy metal bar chair, usually used to prop open the jammed back door, and strolled forward, his eyes burning a righteous fury. Lizzo, seeing the fire in his eyes, gave him a slow, knowing smile. You go get him, honey, she purred, stepping defiantly aside. The reptilian beast, momentarily stunned by Earl's sudden courage, turned its full attention to him. I'm too sexy for my caw, too sexy for my caw, the jukebox insisted. Earl didn't flinch. He swung that metal chair for all its force a man could possess, connecting to the demon's scaly snout with a resounding clang. The creature shrieked, the sound of grinding metal in 1,000 angry snakes, and recoiled. Oh, you want to dance, huh? Earl grunted, dodging a swipe of its claws that tore a chunk out of the counter. He moved with surprising agility, fueled by adrenaline and a deep-seated desire to protect his queen. He jabbed, he parried, he swung. He used the limited space of the truck stop to his advantage, baiting the lumbering beast into smashing more shelves, tripping over fallen chairs. He might not have been a martial artist, but he knew how to fix a broken engine, and he approached this fight with the same methodical, no-nonsense grit. He slammed the bar into its knee, then its side, the demon's roar growing more pained. Finally, seeing an opening, Earl leapt onto an overturned table and with a mighty yell, brought down that bar stool on that creature's head like a thunderclap. The demon let out a final, pathetic squeal, its scales shimmering erratically before it began to dissolve into a puddle of foul-smelling green goo, sinking into the cracked linoleum floor. The only remaining physical evidence was the lingering stench and the faint, shimmering outline that quickly faded. "I'm too sexy for my shirt, too sexy for my shirt," the jukebox chirped on. Silence, save for the music, descended upon the rusty rig. Bubba, now fully clothed, but still trembling, peered cautiously from behind the shattered display. Amber and Christina huddled together, looking more terrified than triumphant. Earl, breathing heavily, leaned onto the metal chair, a smear of green glue on his goo on his cheek. Lizzo walked over. Her eyes twinkled. She reached up and gently wiped the goo off. "You're magnificent, honey," she said softly, squeezing his arm. Earl managed a weary grin. "Just doing my part to keep the peace, Lizzo." He glanced at the still-playing jukebox. "Somebody want to unplug that damn thing?" The rusty rig was a wreck, but it was safe. And as the sun began to peek through the grimy windows, painting the chaos in a dull orange glow, Earl knew one thing for sure. He wasn't just a trucker anymore. He was a trucker who had saved the love of his life from a toilet demon, and that, he figured, was pretty damn sexy. That one was good. I'm putting that in the book. I'm putting this one in the book. What do you think? Kakalina, how are you? We have a new member. I'll have to scroll up. I'll be putting that in the book, though. Larry Lindman, holy shit. Thank you so much, my friend. Aramic, thank you so much. Wow. I'm sorry I missed that when I was reading that. Wow, guys, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Larry and Aramic. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Ricardo, how are you? So, yes, no on that. I think that was a good one, huh? Spinder, how are you? Jeff, shout out for my son Malachi. Just turned 14. Malachi, happy birthday. I hope you're having I hope you had a good birthday. I hope that your 14th was great. You got many more years ahead of you. Take advantage of them, my friend. Because if I could be 14 again, holy cow. Holy cow. But happy birthday. Happy birthday. Wow, 14. Imagine that. What's it like to not have your balls drag on the floor? Thank you, Brenda. 2.5 feet deep. I honestly don't know if I do, Ricardo. What happens when Catwoman kisses Batman? The Dark Knight Rises. Oh! That was good, Aramic. That was good. That was good. Randall Kennedy, thank you so much. You guys are awesome. Larry Lindman, Aramic, Randall Kennedy, guys, thank you. Wow. Maggie Mayhem, thank you. I'm not going to remember all of them after that one time, though. I'll know them, but I won't remember them. My brain goes. That's another thing of the aging process, Malachi. Your brain goes. Hang on one second. 'Cause I'm too sexy for my shirt. Too sexy for my shirt. Oh, baby, yeah, it hurts. It is $20, Randall Kennedy. So the area is deep in Monongahela Forest in Virginia. I was doing some hiking there alone, trying to explore the new area, seeing what's out there. Everything is going pretty smooth in general, except for one occurrence that had gotten me blown away completely. By the way, I'm a 37-year-old male, been hiking in forest mountains many times, never had an issue. Anyway, I'm walking in this forest. It was around 4 p.m. alone. I had everything on me, including a radio beacon, a compass, a GPS on my phone, and a smartwatch. So as you can see, taking precautions in case I get lost so that I can figure out my whereabouts and get back. I also had printed maps on me. You did not have a firearm, my friend, or something to defend yourself with, you mentioned. While walking, I all of a sudden felt some sort of weird, very weird quietness, as if, it was a vacuum. No birds chirping, just quietness. And what was weird about it was so quiet that I could hear like the humming in my ears that you sometimes get when you hear in a very quiet area. I'm thinking, okay, quite odd. First, though, is that there may be a predator in the vicinity. So I am trying to see for that. I did carry something to protect myself, just in case I get attacked. Anyway, I keep walking, no predator, but the quietness was there. It's weird. I didn't even see any birds anymore, just the trees. I also noticed that the weather started to get worse, like it became cloudy in a weird way. I don't know how to explain it. Long story short, the weather got pretty bad out of nowhere. So at this point, I kind of started feeling, I don't know how to describe it, uneasy. I decided to go back, and here is where all of a sudden GPS on the phone and smartwatch and compass is spinning as if there is a magnet close by or something like that. That got me very concerned because it pretty much means that I cannot find where to go in case I get lost. I start walking back. None of my navigation tools are working. I kind of am still going back, just orienting myself by the way I had come. All of a sudden, I see clouds above are very odd. It's like most of the clouds are a weird gray, but they are not like clouds, but more like a fog, which is really way up. Then there is another cloud kind of surrounded by gray clouds, which was black. I have never seen such a cloud before. It was almost like the night sky. Then the craziness happened. All of a sudden, I hear something like music, like a town clock bell or something like that. Like, doing it every 10 seconds or so. I don't know. At the time, I just got scared, super scared. And I just started running as fast as I could the way back. I was running, and eventually I noticed that the weather had gotten better. There was no more clouds. The clouds weren't, in fact, visible anywhere near. I looked at the compass, the GPS, and it was back up. Compass not spinning. I was, in fact, running in the correct direction after, and I just went back to the place where I had parked and left. Later that day, I looked up the weather forecast for that area. There wasn't supposed to be any cloudiness anywhere. It was supposed to have been sunny all day with only one sporadic cloud. I told my experience to my buddies, also hikers, and they say it might have been that I could have fallen asleep and had a dream. I don't think so because I don't remember falling asleep. Anyway, my weird experience, and I will never be going back there to hike. Mr. Shackleneck, thank you so much. Wiley, what's up, my friend? Long rest. Ozzy, R.I.P. The Iron Man. Where's that experience? Ah, here it is. This is creepy, guys. Context. I am 24, a female. My boyfriend, 22, male. Ooh, a little cougar. We've been going out for 3 months now. He's been talking about how he used to have night terrors, and lately they've been especially bad. Once I started staying over at his house, I got to witness it firsthand. We'd be dead asleep, and he would suddenly sit up, gasp, stare off into the distance for a while before lying back down and going back to sleep. I asked him what he was dreaming about once, and he said he did not know. I started getting poor sleep at his apartment as well. I did from the start, but I just chalked it up to it being a new strange environment, but it persisted. One morning, he left for work, and I went back to sleep after saying goodbye. I woke up on my stomach, unable to move. I realized it was sleep paralysis. I've had it a couple times before years ago, so I knew what I was dealing with and tried not to panic. That's when I felt something crawl onto the bed and place its hand onto my back, holding me down. I have had sleep paralysis demon experience in the past, so I tried to remain calm. I start repeating, not real, over and over in my head, since I couldn't speak. First thing responded, oh, I think I'm not real. If I wasn't real, would you be able to feel my hand on the back? It said, with its digging its fingers in. Would you be able to feel my breath on your neck? It felt so real, I could feel it lean down and breathe the cold on my neck as it spoke. I repeated, get out, you're not welcome. And slowly I began to move again, and the thing was gone. I didn't think too much of it since sleep paralysis is somewhat normal, and a lot of people experience these so-called demons. But last night was different. I was asleep and woke up with an overwhelming feeling of being watched. I opened my eyes and lifted my head to look around the room, and there was a tall shadow moving across the room right at the edge of my bed. I looked over at my boyfriend's spot to confirm it was just him getting up to use the bathroom or something, and I was horrified to find him sleeping peacefully next to me. I looked back at the shadow. It had reached the spot directly in front of me at the end of the bed. It turned toward me and was staring unblinking with a huge grin. It had a strange aura around it, hard to describe, but everything looked a little warped around it. I felt an intense amount of malice coming from it. I was terrified. I sat up, and after a moment longer, it dissipated into the air. I don't know what this thing was or why it was bothering us. I've never experienced anything like this before, other than when I was a little kid and thought I saw shadows move or other kid stuff like that. But this thing had a face. And here's the picture of what she saw. That is what she saw. Hang on one second. Belle went to the kitchen. I'm sorry. I just want to check on her and make sure she's okay. Dude, that was weird. The kitchen is right behind the wall of the computer, so the computer behind is her. You okay, bud?
What's your black cord?
My black cord for what?
My iPhone charger's not working.
Go in my room on my stand. Love you. Sorry. Julie, thank you. Thank you so much. My cat's okay. It's my daughter. My daughter's not feeling good. And when she doesn't feel good, she's daddy's little girl. So I'm the one that. Shauna Ryan, how are you? Aramek. I want to find out what Aramek said that was funny. I missed it. I hate when I miss it. Dang it. Are werewolves actually Dogman? No, from what I know, werewolves news, Jeff, that is not Sunday. I don't know what that means, Luke Thompson. News, Jeff, that is not Sunday. It's Sunday right now. No, werewolves are a totally different species. Per Victor. I don't know what's the difference. Okay, Dogman has hocked legs, a tail, has that hunch in its back, has the canine, the atypical canine-like face. A werewolf is almost like the cross between a Bigfoot and a Dogman, except it does have a shorter muzzle. No non-hocked legs, human-like legs, no tail, short muzzle, much smarter. Per Victor, able to vocalize. And if you've ever read the book by Danny Van Drimeny, how he describes what Neanderthal looks like, that's the perfect example of what. I don't buy into that type 1, type 2 bullshit. That was created by someone who shares stuff that just, I don't buy into that. That's like me saying, are you a type 2 monkey crap or are you a type 3? You know what I mean? It's a whole different species. And the person who created that type 2 variant BA16 sink my battleship never saw a Dogman or a cryptid in their life. What's up, Wesley September? How are you? Mikey. All right. Here's the black-eyed thing. My dad had an unexplainable experience. My dad had a weird experience today that neither he nor I can explain. So I'm hoping the good people can help me. For a little background, my dad has had some paranormal experiences throughout his life, and while he is a little skeptical about the existence of such things as demons or cryptids, he largely believes that there is certainly another plane of existence somewhere, and that death isn't the final act. He is not superstitious by any means, but will not have anything to do with Ouija board in the house. I wouldn't say he believes in things such as heaven per se, but perhaps reincarnation. Regardless, he knows that what he saw that day was not of this world, and it gave him a feeling of pure, unadulterated dread or evil. Earlier today, my dad was on his way to work via the train. Where we live in the United Kingdom, some stations have 2 platforms where trains go in opposite directions from one another and run on opposite routes. So he had to cross a bridge to get to the right platform. As he stood waiting for his train, he overheard a woman talking loudly and in quite confusing sentences. He turned in her direction, and she was staring at him, or perhaps through him, and was pointing in his direction. It was then he knew something was wrong. She looked like a normal older woman except for her eyes, my dad said, and this is verbatim. I could not see the white in her eyes. Other people, her eyes were pure black, maybe deep, dark blue, but she had no pupils and no whites. He told me, you might think I'm kidding. He does like to wind us up, but I swear to you, the feeling I got when I looked at this woman was pure evil. He tried to turn his attention anywhere but her, but his gaze kept being drawn to her. Her eyes never changed. And this was outside in broad daylight, so it certainly wasn't any shadows or light tricks. At one point, he saw her drink from a paper cup, the type of takeaway cup you get at a cafe, and the way she drank from it stuck out to him. As she drank from the cup, still staring in his direction, she squeezed the cup between her flat palms, only it was until it was only a small slit, and drank from that without breaking her stare. When the train arrived, he got on quickly, thankful to get away from her attention. But she got on that same train in the next carriage over. He hopped off and got on the furthest carriage from her. He wasn't alone on that platform. There was a couple with a pram standing behind her who moved away slightly after hearing her talk and were quite freaked out by her as well. Though she never turned to them, they only saw her from the back. This happened in an afternoon, and he told me about his experience. This has understandably left both of us creeped out and confused. Anyway, thank you. The black goo. I do buy into the black goo. I do buy into it. I'm not sure where it is though, or where it's from, where it may come from. Candy Wolf, how are you? All right, let me pop in and see who I've missed. Jack Wagon, Country Gal Show, how are you? I don't want to see a black-eyed. Yeah, I don't ever want to see a black-eyed. A black-eyed child or anything like that. What's up, Brock Sherwood? How are you? Broccoli. Brock Lobster. I bought my blind friend a cheese grater for his birthday. He said it's the most violent book he has ever read. What in the goodness gracious? Happy G. In your opinion, who wins in a heads-up fight, same size, Dogman, Bigfoot? How in your opinion would a crawler? And how in your opinion would a crawler beat a Dogman? Well, Robert and his son in Gila National Forest. Robert lived in Silver City his entire life. He's friends with the sheriff there, and he knows a lot of these little hidden gems on that area. And in the Gila cave systems where the petroglyphs are, there's actually drawings of crawlers. If you ever go there and look, I think you can Google it too, but there's some really weird looking crawler-like creatures that are drawn on those walls that are thousands of years old, and stuff that looks like Bigfoot as well. His son had come across these crawlers coming out of this cave off of this trail system that was really kind of like a cliff, and they were like jumping on this thing and taking slashes at it, biting it. Eventually they killed it. I don't think it matters on size. You ever heard the old adage, the smallest guy is the one you have to watch out for? You know, I don't think it matters that much to who wins, like I never really bought into that, who would win, a Bigfoot or a crawler. Because you don't know, it's like, who would win, like Habib or Conor McGregor. At one point, people thought Conor was going to win, but Habib messed him up. You know what I mean? Orphans, perfect hair. Creepy cryptids. I want to share my experience and get your opinion. 5 years ago, when I was 17, I visited some of my family who lived in South Dakota and worked there for the summer. After about a month, my brother, sister, and her husband decided to do what Americans do best and go shoot guns in the woods. I had to work at the evening shift, so it was decided that we would go at around 10 p.m. Once my shift ended, we went to their house, pack up the truck for some snacks, guns, and ammo. The drive took 45 minutes, and it took us up a dirt road surrounded by trees and tall grass. Eventually, it opened up into a clearing that was pretty open and flat. The nearest tree line was about 100 feet away. It was pretty dark, but the clearing was lit up by the truck's headlights. I kind of felt uneasy, but I chalked it up to just being out in the woods at night. For the first 20 minutes, nothing really happened. We just kind of set up the plastic bottles and those plastic gallon buckets you get water in for the office. There was a feeling of being watched that we all felt. All of a sudden, it reeked of spoiled eggs. Those of you who have shot guns know they can smell, but even since going the military, no amount of guns, explosions had ever smelled that bad. We looked around to see what the source was, and what I saw, I can still vividly remember to this day. What I saw was a thin humanoid figure crouched down looking at us. Even while crouched down, it was still 6 feet in height. When I say the figure was thin, I mean skin and bone barely do it justice. The even weirder thing about this is we all saw the figure in different spots in the tree line, but we all described the same features. Tall, thin, had long, dark hair. We quickly packed up what we could and left. The feeling of dread felt that day will forever haunt me. Since then, my brother mentioned that area may have been native territory. I don't know what we saw. I also don't know if it was native territory. Every once in a while, I think back to that day. I look up different accounts of the area. Thank you. I was thinking big crawler. I mean, I've never heard of a crawler with long hair, but it could be. Nick, what's going on? How are you? I mean, it could have been a crawler. It could have been a crawler. We don't know. Here's the thing. It's a pseudoscience, and we don't know anything about them. No one does. There is no expert in this. So it's all sharing experiences and theories. There's no experts to this. I think the only way we may ever know is if we get one of these things, throw it on a slab, dissect it, and figure out what it is. Randy, have a good night. Thank you for popping in with us. Tyler, what's going on? How are you? Aramek! Thank you, brother. Holy cow. Right when you did that, Aramek, right when you dropped that, the 10 membership, what was sitting on top but your favorite experiments, buddy? Or experiments, your favorite experiences. All right. I'm going to start off by saying that this is completely legitimate. This is not fiction. This is something real that I have experienced. My hope for sharing this experience on the internet is that I can find someone else who has witnessed the same exact thing I have or something similar. I've been searching for answers for years. I have even tried to get in touch with the main man, Aramek. No, I'm just kidding. Also, maybe someone can give me some insight. This experience has changed my life. One night years ago, I was hanging out with my now ex-boyfriend. It was either November or December of 2019. We decided that night that we wanted to look at the stars. It was very cold out, probably around 1 a.m. But that did not ever stop us from going outside. We put on extra layers, grabbed a blanket, and laid out and looked at the stars. Most of that night, we're having fun, laughing, talking. There was one point where our conversation had gotten very serious. He started explaining to me that he did not believe in God or anything at all. He believes nothing will happen when we die. My response to that was, I respect your beliefs, but I believe in God. I know something will happen when we do die. I have witnessed too many spiritual things in my life not to believe. I've always had a knowing that something more is out there. His only response was, once he sees something, he will believe it. We were quiet for a while after that, but eventually continued talking about other things and having fun. That's when I saw something in the sky. I saw these massive pair of wings glide directly over me, at least 20 feet. I couldn't make out a head, legs, or tail, just a massive pair of wings. It was dark and hard to see, but the wings had a subtle glow, just enough for me to see it. It almost looked see-through, but also glowing. Can't be for sure, though. It was shocking to see. I wasn't necessarily horrified, but I was in a complete awe. I didn't feel anything negative. My ex wasn't paying attention at first. I shouted to him to look up. When he did, he immediately started panicking. He was swearing and freaking out. The pair of wings wasn't there for long. It just flew above us, then above my house, and seemed to disappear or just fade into the darkness. As it was flying, it only flapped its wings once, so really it was gliding. My ex had grabbed me and insisted we go inside. He was horrified. We didn't get much sleep that night. Eventually, the next day after calming down, we decided we wanted to go out at night again and see if anything happens. There was a lot more that happened. I won't get into too much detail about it. We saw a strange UFO and 2 large bright lights that appeared to be close to us, so bright that it was hard to see. That itself is scary and unusual, but the strangest thing was the winged being / thing. After this happened, my perspective on life changed completely. There is so much out there that we do not know about. Not that it's related, but weird things started happening around the world too. COVID, Ukraine, China balloon, and so much more. There is just so much happening nowadays. I have searched and talked to so many people to see if maybe they experienced something similar, but cannot find that much information. I do believe that maybe what I saw was an angel or could have been an interdimensional being. I am definitely not sure. I don't think I will ever know for sure. I've accepted that. Again, as unbelievable as it sounds, this was something that really has happened to me and my ex-boyfriend. Feel free to tell me your thoughts. Hopefully, this reaches someone who witnessed something similar. Aramek, did they see the flying? What's up, Rafe? Rafe Beaver. 59th, how are you? Orphan Andy. I don't want to see shadow people. Damn, this is hot. Whew. I think I would probably like shit my pants if I ever seen one. John LaPlume, how have you been? Good seeing you. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Good seeing you. Shed up you face. Shut up your face. Do it okay. Ugh. I cannot believe how hot it is, though. I heard that it was so hot in Arizona that like people were like putting like things on the ground to see if they'd cook. My normal. I'd seen that you said something happened to your. That's not your normal thing. What was your normal thing? I didn't ask because I was in the middle of talking and then I got into it. I shared the experience, but I had seen it and I waited to see if you had said anything again. It's hotter than 2 rats getting in a wool sock. Dude, hopefully that wool sock wasn't used. Just kidding. That's fucking gross. Whoever came up with that one. That's just gross. 97 in Florida. Dang. 102? Oh. I went out. What time was it? I think it was like 4:30. And it was like 98 at like 4:30. And I was like, holy shit, that's ridiculous. In upstate New York, like mountains. I would shit in somebody else's pants. I think 59th said you see him out of the corner of your eye. And I've heard that, but can anyone explain the Carmel, Maine guy? Like his shadow people videos are fucking scary. They are just straight scary. Nice and cool in Rhode Island. Dang. But only is, but it seems to be blocked. I'm not mad, but I think a mistake. I didn't block it. What's the matter with you? Were you here last week? I've only blocked like a couple of people, and that's the only time I've ever blocked anybody is when they've been really disrespectful or rude to I'm not to sound biased, but to women or like just like in general, just being scummy, you know. So I didn't block you, my friend. How old are you, Jeff? Holy cow. 62. 62. No, I'm 48. 48 years old. So you didn't speak in your chats? I'll figure out. I'll look at it later and see. Because sometimes I've had to John Sumner's in here and he can attest to it. There was one time and there he is. There's John. John had been blocked or something had happened to him. And he's been a subscriber of mine for like since almost the beginning and a friend. So, but it happens. I don't know why. I will look for you though, because it is kind of bothersome. Did anyone fall for that I'm 62 one? Dude, it's been weird. I've had 3 different people last week actually, because it's the end of the week now, say that I don't look 48. And I'm like, wow, thank you. I feel 48. Like my balls drag when I wake up in the morning. I'm like, pick them up. No, I'm just kidding. But I feel so old lately. I hate getting old. It is terrible. Like, I just hope I don't feel like my dad when I'm my dad's age, because my dad is mad about being old. Dude, my dad is so mad. I am not 62 though, Julie. I was only kidding. My dad is so mad about being old. He fucking yells at himself. He yells at his hands. Fucking, why won't you work? I'm like, dude, don't yell at your hands. It's not its fault. Like, what the fuck? Who yells at their own hand? And I'm not kidding. I'm really not kidding. Probably yells at his wiener. Why are you so small? No, I'm just kidding. I hope my dad is not listening tonight. If you're listening, I'm sorry. I was only kidding. Or if you watch this tomorrow. Oh. Thanks, Kakalina. My dad's going to hear that and be like, oh, fuck you, Jeff. Think it's so funny? Brought you into here. Why am I laughing at that? That is so dumb. I'm so dumb. Oh, shit. Before I share my experience, I'm going to give you some context about my drive home from work. I get in my car and I drive. No. The state I live in and such. This happened 10 minutes after I left work, July 4th, 2020. I live in Northeast Ohio. I got a new job about 2 months ago as a process tech at a dairy plant. Pays very good, considering it's a 34 to 35 mile drive one way. After about 20 or 25 miles, I drive through a wooded area. Nothing uncommon for me, as I do live in Northeast Ohio. Forests are common. And I pretty much lived in the one behind my grandparents' house growing up. I work 4 p.m. to 4 a.m., and the drive home sucks. Whether it's being tired, hungry, or the fog almost every night, I go the same way every night and day. I was driving my way home. I had just left the residential area of my workplace and was going through the forested area. As I said, there is almost fog every night. So I am on high alert for deer, raccoon, and other critters. It's just like every other drive home so far. I have a podcast on. I'm focused on the road, thinking of getting either a sausage McMuffin or a McGriddle from McDonald's, and sometimes looking off to the side of the road for eyes reflecting off my headlights. When all of a sudden, I see reflecting eyes. Out of the woods comes a coyote. In my hometown, coyotes aren't too rare. I've seen them by the high school, but I have never seen one outside of the hometown, so it surprised me. I started slowing down as it crossed the road until it turns to my car and sits in the middle of the road. It sat 10 feet from my car. There had been no cars I had seen since leaving the residential area. So I was just going to go around it, but I thought this is too odd of a thing to happen to just drive away. I expected it to get up and walk away any given second. This is where I became very scared. I honked my horn, and after 2 or 3 seconds, it smiled at me. I have my brights on, so I can see perfectly. This coyote had human-shaped teeth. My heart dropped, and every hair on my body rose, just as it is now recounting this incident. It lasted about a second before sitting up and running into the woods. I sat there in fear for 5 seconds before shoving my foot on the pedal and driving at getaway speed. I didn't stop and get food because I had and still have no appetite. I thought the rest of the ride home what I saw once doubted I saw it, but like I said, with my brights on, and it was as close as it was to my car. I saw it as clear as day. This coyote had human teeth, and there is no doubt about it. I am very much into the paranormal, and that includes cryptids. Is it possible I ran into some sort of shapeshifter or genetically mutated coyote? It's so weird typing this out. Anyway, thanks. There has been one other experience that I have heard. There we go. There we go. Got it. Got it that time. There is one other experience that I've heard, and it's actually in the newspaper. I believe it's in Alabama, and I think it was in the 50s. But there was a woman's head or something on a coyote's body. It looked similar to a woman, but it was on a coyote's head. And I had read it a long time ago in this like cryptid book, old experiences of cryptids. And it always just, and then I think someone else had talked about it once. I forget who, but it was in Alabama. I know it was in Alabama. Kunbo and I had talked about it once, and it was in Alabama, but it was weird. I don't think anyone's ever fought a Nephilim, Orion. It would be almost a losing fight, one person, considering the difference between a Nephilim and a giant is a giant has no supernatural powers the Nephilim does. Jackalware. Maybe. Mr. Squiggly Lines is back. Holy shit. What's up, Squiggly Lines? There's Pity. How are you, Pity? Luis Rios. Good to see that they put your squiggles back in your name. I'm glad. I am glad. I was a little upset a couple weeks ago. They did that for a reason, because they wanted to upset me. Yeah, supposedly he was just a giant. Supposedly. But the Nephilim were different than giants. Giants, there's been this week I'll do an upload on it. I did a deep dive on some like theological things and found this really cool book. But there's been giants discovered everywhere, like the bones in Ohio. And I'm not sure about the Lovelock giants or if they were Nephilim, because there's actually a name in biblical days of a red-haired race. And at one point, having red hair was looked down upon, like back then. I'll find all that information. I'll put it together in an upload. I was talking about it the other day, about putting that all in an upload, compiling all that information together. Yeah, the Nephilim are gone. Like the Raphalim are gone. And there's a name that starts with an A. So it'd be a Nephilim, a creature of Nephilim descendant. And there is no, and then if a being or a creature has the blood of a Nephilim, they would have supernatural powers. And they wouldn't talk about weird shit 5 years ago on TED Talks and then claim they had Nephilim blood now. No, that's not the word. Hang on, I got it saved on my... Aramic knew what I was talking about right there. I know Aramic got that statement. That was a slam to something. got it saved. Anakim, the Raphaim, then the Nephilim, the Raphaim, and the Anakim. Northern New York family encounters. 10 gauge. If I didn't respond, I didn't get it. Please respond. Or not please respond. What a duh. Please send it again. I please. Jeepers Creepers or Jason. Dude, fucking Jeepers Creepers. He's gonna pick up Jason. He's gonna fly up in the air. He's gonna keep flying up in the air. And he's gonna drop him. And he's gonna go, Jeepers Creepers. I've been doing giant uploads for the last year of them popping up in the woods, Shauna Rain. I have the power. He-Man. The greatest power lifter ever. I still can't believe that I found the book from the Solomon Islands. Holy shit. I did an extensive upload into that too, Shauna Rain. I honestly go and look at all my videos, and everything that you talk about is already on there. Honestly, I proved that Andrew Dawson died because a guy that talks to a fish said he didn't. And I proved that he did because I found his obituary, which they said that could be faked, and it could. But I actually found the funeral home that had his ceremony for him, his memorial. And his wife his wife constantly posts about him still. He's never reappeared. January 16th, 2005, between the times of 12:45 and 1 a.m., Talbot Lane, Reno, Nevada, weather conditions, clear sky, temperature approximately 25 degrees Fahrenheit, light breeze. Description of sighting. In the early hours of January 16th, 2025, between 12:45 and 1 a.m., I was inside of my apartment on Talbot Lane in Reno, Nevada, when I heard an unusual sound outside. The noise resembled shrieking, similar to that of a high-pitched sound raccoons might make, but it was distinct enough to catch my attention. Upon looking outside, I observed a humanoid figure in the grass. Initially, I thought it might have been a person wrapped in a black blanket or coat, as the figure's head and body appeared covered. However, its presence felt distinctly unnatural. Before I could observe any further, the figure turned slightly toward me, which intensified my fear. I did not notice any glowing eyes, possibly due to my heightened fear and the darkness. Physical description of the figure. Shape, humanoid with a dark draped appearance resembling someone covered in a black blanket. Movement, minimal. The figure seemed to be standing or crouched in the grass. Other details, no clear facial features or glowing eyes were observed. Emotional response. Prior to seeing the figure, I felt an overwhelming sense of dread and fear, as if I instinctively knew something was amiss. This fear intensified upon seeing the figure and noticed it turned upon me. I quickly turned away, unable to process what I had just seen. Additional context. I did not have my phone with me at that time, so I was unable to capture any photos. The encounter lasted a few moments, but left a lasting impression. Given its appearance and eerie feeling I experienced, I believe this could have been an encounter with a Mothman or similar cryptid, though I cannot confirm this definitively. Conclusion, I am sharing this in hopes of connecting with others who may experience something like I did. The draped appearance, I believe, were wings. That, my friends, makes sense. I didn't bring up Andrew Dawson. Someone else did, Mr. Anderson, in the chat. I was just reading. I have not been able to get in touch with him, Big John. I sent him an email a couple weeks ago, like 4 days after I shared the experience. Good question, though. I'm actually going to send him an email. Let me put this down on my phone so I remember. Thank you for reminding me. Good call. Good call. No shit. That's fucking... And there is no coincidence, Mr. Anderson. There is no coincidence. So that's good shit. Oh, I believe he was a real person. I am so upset because people literally said, and I don't know if you caught the upload, but when I said, like, here, this is his memorial. This is the flyer from his memorial. Like, his fucking wife still talks about him to this day, saying she misses him. And if he was a clout chaser, if he was a clout chaser, he could have or would have found a way to come back. Like, guys, they faked my death. They staged it. It was all a prop, blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? No, not in Colorado. Up in Canada. Canoe Mountain, by Canoe Mountain. So gross, Jeff. So gross. Portals are awesome. Where's the best place to find and hike to find Nephilim? I would say, do you really want to find a creature that has Nephilim, like, stems from them? Solomon Islands probably would be the best. The Amazon, Chile, Canada, where Andrew Dawson was from, the Rockies, any mountainous region where there could be a large area for them to hide and use because you got to think, these things have powers. They're not like a giant. They can open, they were the children of fallen angels, and they're gone, but they are the children and children of children of, so the offspring of the original. So they still have powers. It's not like they are like fucking 10 foot tall and no powers. These things can do stuff. I don't think you'd want to find one because they are violent and they do bad things to you, like really bad things. Yeah. Like, yeah. In New Jersey, there was one Dogman sighting that had been spotted in New Jersey, like in a rural, not rural, but like a city, but on the outskirts of. What do you think the fallen angels look like? Well, okay, so the Bible tells you what they look like. And they didn't fall from heaven. They descended down from heaven. God sent them here on a mission. And then they fell from God's grace because they turned their back on God. Some of them supposedly were seraphim, if I'm not mistaken, Arabic, and they looked reptilian. I heard the majority of them looked reptilian. What's up, Neil Carr? How are you? Andy Davis, have a good night, brother. Good to see you. I'm always glad that you're here. Ugh. Lot lizard time? Lot lizards? Yes, no, maybe? Yes. Thank you, Aramek. Thank you. All right. Lot lizard time. Let me find the good one. All right. Here we go. The air hung crisp and cool around Midnight Oasis, a truck stop that had seen more late night drama than a daytime soap opera. Neon signs flickered, casting a garish glow on the idling rigs and worn asphalt. Inside their usual booth at the Greasy Spoon, Lizzo, the lot lizard, and her heart of gold and a purse. Wait, Lizzo, the lot lizard, with her heart of gold and a purse that could knock out a rhino, watched the steam curl from Earl, the trucker's lukewarm coffee. Earl, a mountain of a man with a gentle giant soul, was her true north in this chaotic world. Slow night, Earl, Lizzo mused, twirling a strand of dark hair. Almost too quiet makes a girl paranoid. Earl grunted, taking a sip. Quiet's good, Lizzo. Means no one's trying to sell me a fake engine parts or preach about the end of times. Just as he spoke, a tremor ran through the ground, rattling a cheap plastic salt shaker on the table. A low hum of diesel engines outside seemed to falter, replaced by a strange thumping rhythm. It started faint, then grew impossibly loud, like a monstrous heart trying to escape the earth. What in tarnation? Earl muttered, pushing out of the booth. Outside, a few truckers milled about, paused, their faces a mix of confusion and dawning horror. A shadow impossibly vast fell over the truck stop. Then, through the flickering neon glow, it appeared. 20 feet tall, it lumbered into view, a ghastly silhouette against the inky sky. It was a rabbit, a colossal, muscular, vampiric rabbit. Its fur a molted gray, rippled with unnerving definition, and its eyes glowed with an infernal pulsing red. Its impossibly long ears twitched, scanning the parking lot, and 2-foot-long fangs protruded from its upper jaw, glistening faintly. A collective gasp swept through the truck stop. One brave or foolish trucker, a scrawny man named Skeeter, pointed a trembling figure. It's a bunny, a big bloody bummy. The vampire rabbit, seemingly drawn to Skeeter's high-pitched squawk, fixed its glowing gaze upon him. With a sound like a dozen deflating tires, it let out this low, rumbling growl. Then, with surprising delicate hop for its size, it bounded toward Skeeter. Skeeter, frozen in terror, watched as the monstrous creature leaned in, twitching its nose aggressively. Lizzo, ever the quick thinker, realized something horrifyingly hilarious. Oh, dear God, she whispered. He's looking for love. He's trying to breed with him. Indeed, the rabbit, clearly misunderstanding the concept of love in the human context, began to nuzzle Skeeter's leg. Its massive head bumping against the trucker's thigh with surprising force. Skeeter, liberated from his petrified state, let out a shriek that would curdle milk and sprinted away, the giant rabbit hopping clumsily after him, whimpering softly. It's like a dating app nightmare, Earl bellowed, half in terror, half in utter bewilderment. The rabbit, thwarted by Skeeter's speed, turned its attention to the other truckers. Each encounter more absurd than the last. It tried to court a grizzled old-timer by rubbing its giant cheek against its 18-wheeler's grill, leaving a trail of speckled slime. It attempted to nuzzle a pair of exhaust pipes, its fangs clinking against the metal. Chaos erupted as the truckers, faced with unwanted advances of a 20-foot vampiric bunny, scrambled into their cabs, locking the doors, or simply running, screaming into the night. "Earl," Lizzo said, her voice grim, "this ain't right. He's going to give everyone performance anxiety for life. And he just sniffed my very favorite lot lizard spot. Nobody messes with our patch." Earl, his very protective instincts overriding his fear, nodded. "You got it, honey. Time to send Brer Duckula back to wherever it hopped from." Their battle strategy was less about martial arts and more about street smarts and brute force. Lizzo, quick on her feet, weaved between parked trucks, dodging the rabbit's attempts to coddle her. "Hey, Big Ears," she yelled, smacking its flank with her hefty purse. The rabbit twitched an ear, annoyed, but mostly confused. Earl, meanwhile, had armed himself with a heavy-duty tire iron. He swung it, aiming for its massive paws. The rabbit, surprisingly agile, hopped backwards, then lunged, trying to pin Earl down in a bizarre, unwanted embrace. "He wants a hug," Earl groaned, straining against the rabbit's immense weight. "A very, very bad hug." Lizzo got an idea. She remembered a faded, dusty bottle she had seen in the deepest, darkest corner of the Midnight Oasis General Store. "Earl, distract him. I got an idea, but it's crazy." Dodging another clumsy lunge from this enormous beast, Lizzo sprinted into the convenience store. Ignoring the terrified clerk hiding behind the counter, she rummaged through the shelves, finally finding it a small unlabeled aerosol can with a hand-drawn childlike illustration of a shrinking dog. "Petite Paws Pet Shrinker for oversized rodents," she mumbled, reading the barely legible label. "Close enough," she burst back out, the rabbit now attempting to affectionately lick Earl's face with its enormous rough tongue. "Earl, move!" Lizzo yelled. Earl, spotting the can, saw the wild glint in Lizzo's eyes and ducked, just as Lizzo unleashed the shimmering iridescent mist from the can, aiming it directly at the vampire rabbit's glowing red eyes. The rabbit froze. Its twitching nose stopped. A low, guttural gurgle emanated from its throat. Then, like a time-lapse video of a balloon deflating, the massive beast began to shrink. Its muscles rippled, its fur seemed to collapse inward, and its 20-foot frame rapidly diminished. The enormous fangs retracted slightly, becoming less menacing. Within seconds, the terrifying, enormous creature was no bigger than a well-fed house cat, still with glowing red eyes, but now adorably so. It sat on the asphalt, shivering slightly, looking utterly bewildered, and, dare she say it, a little embarrassed. Lizzo, still breathing hard, picked up the tiny creature. It was surprisingly soft, its fur velvety under her fingers. Its tiny red eyes stared up at her, no longer menacing, just intense. Earl walked over, wiping a greasy smudge from his cheek. He peered at the miniature vampire rabbit. "Well, I'll be," he mused. "Stew!" Lizzo paused, considering the thought of vampire rabbit stew was intriguing. But then the tiny creature nudged its head against her palm, a soft, almost purring sound echoing from its tiny chest. She shook her head, a soft smile playing on her lips. "Nah, Earl," she decided. "He's too cute. And look at those eyes. He just wants a little love. Maybe we can teach him to fetch, or at least to stop trying to breed with the gas pumps." Earl chuckled, a deep rumble. "All right, Lizzo, we got ourselves a new pet. What are we going to call him?" Lizzo looked down at the tiny glowing-eyed rabbit, who was now nibbling gently on her finger. He was looking for love, wasn't he?" she said, then winked at Earl. "We'll call him Lover Boy." And so, the Midnight Oasis life returned to its very odd version of normal, except now Lizzo and Earl had a new tiny companion, a 6-inch tall vampire rabbit named Lover Boy, who still occasionally tried to court passing squirrels with an unsettling intensity, but mostly just loved ear scratches and the occasional, slightly too red raw hot dog. The truckers, meanwhile, had a new wild story to tell. A tall tale about a 20-foot horny vampire rabbit and its unlikely heroics of a lot lizard and her true love. Thank you, Just B. Thank you. Thank you, guys. No, they're not related, Neil. No, Joe's wife is occasionally in the live stream here. Thank you, brother. Appreciate the love. Nighthawk High-Strangeness podcast channel. Haha, Nighthawk. Oh, shit. That reminds me. C Mustard on the channel C Mustard. He's got a character named Nighthawk. Make sure you go check him out later tonight. You'll love him. You'll love him. Thank you, Aramic. That was gross. Neil Carr, that was gross. How dare you burp on my live stream? Sea Mustard. Yes, please. At the end of the live stream, please go check him out because he's awesome. Enormous, how are you? He's truly amazing. Like I talked about him at the beginning of the live. He's just a good dude, really good dude. I loved listening to him before I even had my YouTube channel. So I want to see other people check his stuff out because it's funny. It's funny. It's not creepypasta. That's the coolest thing about it. It's not creepypasta. It's just funny shit. Enormous, I'm glad that you're here with us. Have you actually witnessed sighting anything in the woods, Bigfoot, Dogman? I started researching 30 years ago after my Dogman experience in 1994. I've been doing this for 30 years. The channel is 8 years old, but I've been researching for 30. Dude, you know what's crazy is Coast to Coast talked about me the other day or like a week ago. How weird is that? It's fucking weird. I was like, dang, that's cool. Coast to Coast, Art Bell's old show that he created back in the Dizay. I was amazed. I was like, how the hell do they know who I am? Like, I'm just a little feller. Well, I mean, I don't know how to feel about that. Like, I feel good. But like freaking my brain just shut off. Stephen Quayle has like 7 of my videos on his website. And I'm like, holy shit. Like, I feel more honored about Stephen Quayle. I think that'd be cool to be on Coast to Coast. That would be really cool. I think that'd be really cool. The first thing I'd ever say is, I'm not an expert and no one is. They wouldn't like me. They'd be like, you can't say that. I'd be like, why? Why? But yeah, it was last year that it was on a live stream that a subscriber said, Jeff, I found your channel because of Stephen Quayle's website. And I'm like, Thank you, MJ. You're awesome too. This happened a couple years ago in the United Kingdom. I lived in the north of the city in a town called Bury and worked early hour night shifts at an airport. I'll put the real place names on here for anyone who would like to Google the area. Anyway, one early morning in winter at around 2 a.m., I set off for work. Around this time, there was intermittent overnight roadworks on the motorway, which would send you off at a junction without a warning, diverting you back onto the motorway further down. And this night was one of those, taking me off at Worsley and sending me down through Worsley, skirting near Eccles towards Manchester's large shopping mall, the Tafford Centre. I knew the area, having lived there for a few years previously, but this time of night seemed unusually quiet and deserted. Normally, I'd see an odd person drunkenly staggering down the street or late-night taxis scurrying around, but tonight nobody was on the streets at all. I drove down Barton Road, which, to my left, is followed by a dark canal, which was mist-covered, and slowed my car up to the red light at the intersection just before you cross an old Victorian-era swing bridge, Barton Swing Bridge, which crosses the River Mersey below. As I slowed to the lights, I suddenly became overtaken by the intense feeling of dread and panic. The hairs on my arms stood. I broke out in a cold sweat for no reason. I had this feeling like a smackhead or someone who was going to jump up from a nearby bush and jump on my car. Then, as cliche as it may sound, my car radio suddenly cut out, and the only noise was my idling engine. The lights turned green. I suddenly didn't want to go through them, over the darkened swing bridge that loomed ahead of me, almost like it dared me to cross. I swallowed hard and nervously put the car into gear and crept forward. The bridge clanked and it seemed to groan as I moved hesitantly over it. Then followed the curve on the road around the sweeping bend to the left, then to the right, with nothing but tall, dark trees leaning over the road on the either side. Around the bend on my driver's side, the right in England, is an old monastery, and through the gates of the monastery I could make out an odd shape of a dog about to cross the road in front of my car, so I slowed. This creature was huge. It was black. It actually looked muscular from the outline. As I completed the bend, my headlights hit this thing. All I can describe it as, my headlights hit nothing, no reflection off its coat, no details, just like a void, a shadow. This dog turned to me, its eyes glowing yellow. Not reflections like you would get off a cat or a fox or whatever. No, they glowed. The beast then ran across in front of me. It clearly was not a dog. It ran in a motion that wasn't dog-like. As ridiculous as it sounds, it seemed to run in a jerky motion, like the real bad CGI motions of old Sinbad film Sea Monsters. I followed this beast till it ran to the side of the road out of my high beams, and it seemed to completely vanish from sight. I looked in my side windows, side mirrors, rear mirrors, nothing. As my car rolled around the next bend in the road past this monastery, the car radio suddenly blurted out back into life, startling me. That feeling of dread lifted, and this thought randomly came to me. You wasn't meant to see me. It wasn't for you. I felt completely normal, but absolutely perplexed about what just happened. 5 rings. What's up, my brother? Oh, now we've got more people here. I just want to thank Julie again. Julie, thank you for this. Everyone, I collect bandanas. I love bandanas. I wear them around my neck like I'm a cowboy. I put them on my hair. Look how cool this is. Julie, thank you very much. Very cool. Thank you. 5 rings. Forgot to give me a fist bump, brother. Okay, there it was. What's up, Walter? There we go. Had to get them fucking good. Leviathan, the sea monster. It's what's warming up the ocean. Biblically, it was some people actually I heard this on one of those AI fucking things, like, you know, those shorts that pop up. And it said the Leviathan was sent to Earth to hunt the Nephilim during the Great Flood. And that is not true. The Leviathan, I forget what it was used for, but it wasn't to hunt the Nephilim. Aramik, what was it for? Aramik knows. See, I said Aramik knows. It wasn't sent to hunt the Nephilim, right? It was sent to do something other than that. Oh, dude, we got beat by Boston today. Holy shit. They beat the brakes out of us. Destroy the Nephilim that survived. Okay, so it was true. Yarbles. So it was true then. Okay. I know, it is weak. I can't believe we got beat by Boston. Thank you, Aramik. I can always turn to Aramik for the biblical things. I know, like, people are like, why, Jeff? And because I had a long conversation with Aramik, and he's very, very intelligent dude. Very intelligent, very humble guy. And I'm not just saying that because he gives me members. I'm saying that because he's really both of those things. There's a forest near my house here in southeast England. Me and my friends use for mountain biking. But it's gotten very uncomfortable, strange vibe to it. The only person we ever see here is the same older man walking his dog. But he always appears when we are feeling really uneasy due to energy. He will just suddenly walk past you. You never see him coming. There is a tree that has become a memorial for a dog that died, coincidentally a German Shepherd, same breed as the man has, that looks very similar. Sometimes in the furthest corners of the woods, I distinctly hear a dog collar behind me or nearby. Here's where things are a little strange. There's a spot we use for campfires and drinking. We were there late at night, 9 or 10, but gradually beginning to get creeped out as the energy started to increase. We start hearing very strange noises. It definitely was not a fox or a bird. It sounded very sweet and innocent at first until it turned into a blood-curdling shriek. We quickly packed our stuff and went on our mission to get the hell out of Dodge. There's a field that serves as a main access point to the woods. We are using the main path through it and got an overwhelming sense of dread, sadness, and almost anger mixed together. In the brush to the side of the path, we heard running, very, very heavy running, and all of a sudden we start hearing the most horrible growling and screaming noises getting worse and worse until we got to the exit of the field and it all stopped. We didn't hear it run away, but all the noise and running just stopped. We all had strange dreams that night. One time I heard very heavy running footsteps in the brush right beside me while my friend was having a pee. I turned around to see if it was him, but there was no way it was because he hadn't moved from the spot. He came back and asked me if I heard running too. 2 days after I went back there, the first time was for 5 months alone. As I moved away from the local area, the strange feeling was still there, and in some areas felt like it had gotten worse. But I didn't let that bother me. I went back again, and there was a heavy rainfall the last couple of days, so the ground was very muddy. I kept hearing that dog collar that follows me around and noticed strange markings in the ground, but they're very inconsistent. Groups of them would appear, and then there wouldn't be any more until 15 to 20 meters up the path. They definitely wasn't there 2 days ago, and these woods take so long to get into, many people wouldn't bother going there, and it's impossible to get a horse there. I have a few theories about this. I think it could be similar presence to a goat man, as he is often linked to canine death. The potential cryptid activity and hoof marks are consistent with this theory. Very unlikely, but plausible. It could be devil hoof marks. The presence definitely feels demonic. The forest is potentially a dumping ground for bodies. There was suspected murder in town, and the police searched the woods. It wouldn't explain the strange presence, but not the cryptid activity. 4 people with dirt bikes sometimes use the forest. Phew. Time is it? Oh, this one's fucking creepy. Rando, how are you? Your son graduated. Great. Congratulations. I remember when he was just going in. Thank you for sharing that with us, Rando. And I doubt that he wants to hear congratulations from me, but congratulations from me. Craigers, what's up, buddy? What's up, my friend? How are you? It's getting hot in here. I gotta open the door. If I open this door, maybe Tigger will come in. Buddy! Come on, buddy. Bye. Come on, bud. Nah, he's not coming. All right. Shoop. When I was 16, my sister and I were walking home for lunch, a half a block from our high school. A girl in my younger sister's class was driving someone's car in the parking lot doing donuts. It appeared the girl in the front passenger seat was scared and wanted out. The door opened and she was pulled under the car. The driver must have thought she was still on top of her, ended up backing over her a second time. I knew she was dead. Then I saw what looked like a refractive light combined with a mist or fog. That is the best I can word this. That ascended up just above the car, and then it was gone. My sister ran down to call 911. I was dry heaving in a ditch. I am extremely sensitive to other people's pain, so witnessing a person ran over twice and gone was overwhelming. I I wondered about what I had seen a few times that summer. Never told anyone, didn't think I'd be believed. It was a long faded memory by the time I was 20. My best friend was driving my car to drop me off at SeaTech for a business trip on the old Highway 99 viaduct. We came upon an accident that had just occurred, motorcycle versus SUV. The SUV was on its side, wheels facing the bay, and a woman was having a panic attack. Another woman was kneeling by the motorcyclist, reaching for a pulse. I saw that same reflected light and fog, but transparent particles move away and away from him, then disappear, just as the woman sunk her head down. I interpreted as no pulse. What could possibly have been its soul, or a quantum group of particles from the elements of a supernova that gave us life, returning to the fold. This isn't the only experience I have had, but didn't have an explanation based on our current understanding of quantum physics, chemistry, and biology. So they witnessed, I think what they witnessed is the soul of the people leaving. So like they see this person doing donuts, the passenger side falls out of the car, gets crushed, and then they witness this, what look like particles leave. Then they come across another accident years later and they see the motorcyclist die and particles leave. They always pop up Bigfoot homes. Well, they don't pop out Wendigos. That's 100% sure. There's a story that I had heard, not a story, but hang on, I gotta do something. Ugh. All right, that's better. All right, so in the Uinta Basin, there was a Ute native sitting on a hillside, and he's been hunting for the day. He had been there all day hunting. All of a sudden, this portal opens up, and it's like 3 feet off the ground. He just sees this like black void open. And he sits there and he's watching this void, and he pulls his gun up, not to shoot, but to look through the scope. And what he sees is this weird creature like drop out of it and run away. It looked like nothing he had ever seen on this planet. It didn't look like a dog. It didn't look like anything. So they're like I believe what they are a doorway. And I think that this is my own belief, and I'm not an expert in any means, so I'm just throwing it out there. My own belief are some of these portals are used by demonic entities or alien-like creatures. Maybe Bigfoot has a way of opening them. There's certainly been enough accounts of Bigfoot being sighted and then going behind a tree this big around and then disappearing. I'm not really sure, but they are definitely some sort of doorway. And wherever they lead, no one knows. I don't think they go to one certain place. And that book has a special spot on my bookshelf, Aramic. All right. This will be the last lot lizard story of the night. Are you ready for this one? AV, how are you? Glad that you're here with us. All right, this one I started writing on Wednesday for you guys. The aroma of stale coffee, diesel, and desperation hung heavy over the rusty mug truck stop, a beacon of flickering neon and questionable life choices off of I-10. Lizzie, known far and wide as Lizzo the Lot Lizard, surveyed her domain with the weary grace of a queen who had seen too many sunrises and not enough honest smiles. Her denim shorts were strategically frayed. Her studded belt gleamed under the sickly yellow glow of the streetlights, and her eyes, though perpetually tired, missed nothing. Tonight, however, was different. Tonight, the air itself seemed to hum with an unnatural frequency, like a low-budget sci-fi movie soundtrack playing just out of earshot. It started subtle. A grizzled trucker whose usual topic of conversation was the laminated state of his rig suspension suddenly launched into an impassioned monologue about the lore of fantastical elven kingdom. Then a waitress, chewing gum with ferocious determination, found herself captivated by the concept of joint cosplay for an obscure anime character. Lizzo, leaning against the chipped paint of a Volvo rig, watched it unfold. A figure had appeared seemingly from a glow of a distant TA sign, like a rogue Funko Pop come to life. He was a mountain of a man, of pale flesh, draped in a too small graphic tee featuring particularly grim-looking dragon. His cargo shorts were stuffed with an alarming number of pockets, and a ratty fedora sat askew on his head that seemed to melt directly into his truly formidable neckbeard. His eyes, though mostly hidden behind thick, greasy bangs, glowed with an unsettling internal luminescence. This was Bartholomew Barty Grishaw, self-proclaimed Lord Vectrin of the Comic-Con Cabal. And if whispers were true, the evil magical comic book convention neckbeard himself. Barty wasn't just looking for a date, he was conjuring one. With the furtive whisper and a subtle flick of the wrist that might have held an invisible D20, he cast a low-level enchantment, a charm of shared interests, making his unsuspecting targets believe they had an undeniable cosmic connection to his profound knowledge of the fictional universe. You mean to tell me? Barty purred to a bewildered long-haul driver named Hank, who suddenly felt a urge to discuss socioeconomic implications of Krypton, that you also believe in the Red Lantern Corps are profoundly misunderstood anti-heroes? Hank, whose only prior experience with lanterns involved propane, nodded slowly. A dopey grin seemingly spread across his face. Yeah, man, misunderstood for sure. Lizzo winced. This was just sad. It was genuinely creepy. The way their eyes glazed over, the sudden uncharacteristic enthusiasm. It was like watching a puppet show where the strings were invisible, and the puppeteer was a dude who probably hadn't showered for a week. She had seen a lot of weird shit at the Rusty Mug. Bigfoot believers, ghost truck enthusiasts, and even a guy who swore he was a sentient spork. But this felt invasive, violating. The magic wasn't flashy, no lightning bolts, no green smoke, but it was insidious, twisting genuine desire into something distorted and forced. Then Barty the neckbeard's glowing eyes locked onto Lizzo's. A greasy smile spread across his face, revealing teeth that had clearly never met a professional hygienist. Ah, my maiden of asphalt, your aura, it speaks of untapped potential, a deep yearning passion for the meticulously catalogued of Warhammer 4000 universe, perhaps. Lizzo felt a weird tingle, an urge to suddenly learn about space marines, to debate tactical advantages of the orc horde. No, her mind screamed even as her lips twitched into a strange smile. She fought it, the raw, unpolished grit of her life, a surprising bulwark against the subtle enchantment. She faced down worse than a dude with bad hygiene and a magical fetish who wore a fedora. She had faced down a repo man and angry ex-wives. Listen, Lord Vectron, Lizzo said, her voice a low growl. The only warhammer I care about is Earl's. Barty chuckled. A sound like gravel rolled down a rusty pipe. Resistance is mere a prelude to enlightenment, my dear. Imagine us together conquering the darkest dungeons of virtual reality, or perhaps crafting a fan fiction treatise of tragic romance of Snape and the Sentinel House elf. He raised his hand. A sickly green glow emanated from his palm. Directly straight at her, the air grew thick, oppressive. Lizzo felt her will waver. Her brain screamed no, even as her body started to relax, ready to succumb to this weird, pervasive charm. Just then, a massive chrome-laden rig rumbled into the lot, its speakers blaring, shaking the very foundations of the greasy diner. And for those speakers, a voice erupted, a powerful, unapologetic, self-loving voice that cut through the magical hum like a hot knife through butter. I just took a DNA test. Turns out I'm 100% that bitch, Lizzo's voice. Vibrant and fierce, echoed across the lot. Barty's green glow flickered. His eyes widened. His neckbeard seemed to bristle. The truckers, the waitress still under his spell, twitched. Yeah, I got boy problems, and that's a human in me. And that's the human in me, Lizzo belted out, her vocals a sonic truth bomb. The magic around Barty began to shimmer, then distort. The forced connection snapped. Hank suddenly looked around, bewildered, scratching his head. Did I just ask this guy if he ever considered geopolitical whatever ramification in the Klingon Empire? The waitress gasped, dropping the order pad. Why did I just offer to make Harley Quinn costume? I hate Harley Quinn. Barty recoiled, clutching his head. No! This can't be. The vibrations of self-love, the chaotic energy, my joy, my enchantments cannot withstand such positivity. As Lizzo's voice reached its crescendo, the magic around Barty fully imploded. He shrieked, a sound like 1,000 angry nerds being denied their limited edition comic. A foil, sickly green energy that had clung to him dissipated into the night, replaced by the thrum of healthy, unfiltered pop music. Stripped of his magical aura, Barty Grishamshaw suddenly looked less like a malevolent wizard and more like a disgruntled pigeon wearing a fedora. The sweat that had been magically held at bay now glistened on his zit-covered forehead. His fedora slipped, revealing a truly unfortunate bald spot. His eyes, no longer glowing, held a look of utter pathetic defeat. Lizzo smirked, the urge to discuss fictional elves completely gone. Look like your magic just got truth hurts, buddy. Barty, humiliated and powerless, let out a whimper. He looked around wildly, then bolted, scrambling past confused truckers, a newly liberated waitress, his cargo shorts flapping until he disappeared into the darkness beyond the glow of the rusty mug. Then Lizzo's song ended, replaced by the usual truck stop hum. The air cleared, heavy once more with diesel and bad coffee. Lizzo watched the moon rise, a faint smile playing across her lips. Another night at the Rusty Mug, another strange tale to add to the lore. And somewhere out there, Barty Grimshaw was probably trying to charm a rest stop squirrel into investing in an FTF or an NTF collection, blissfully unaware the true magic wasn't in a comic book. It was the power of a woman who knew she was 100% that bitch. And that, my friends, was a neckbeard. A neckbeard. I love neckbeards. Why does no one talk about walking trees? Because trees don't walk. Because it's a creepypasta. Another one. Another one. I was like, I wonder, I hope people know what a neckbeard is. Coke addicted much. Yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Delirium knows. I love neckbeards. Neckbeards are fucking great. No, it says, Pink Rabbit says shoot to ill. It's the gorillas, Neil Carr. The gorillas have been out for 25 years this year. I stopped acting like a flamingo. I finally had to put my foot down. Oh, what a dad joke. Arabic is back. All right. Last experience of the night, because I got to get some sleep tonight, kids. Actually, I got to check on my daughter because I know she's sick. So, I'm looking for some explanations as to what this may have been. 2 or 3 years ago, I was with some friends inside of a car outside of one of my friend's house. It was around 9 p.m. winter time, so relatively dark out, but clear weather. There were 5 of us in the car, myself and a friend in the passenger seat, as well as 3 friends sitting in the middle row. It was an SUV. We were talking about some random topic when all of a sudden I felt an intense feeling go down my spine, like we were being watched. I turned to my friend in the passenger seat, and he looked up at me at the same time, like he had seen a ghost. I asked him if he felt it as well, and he said yes. None of the other friends in the back felt anything. We felt really strange, but ignored it and kept talking. A few minutes later, the feeling came back stronger than before, and once again, my friend and I looked at each other at the same time. He looked right past me out the driver's side window, which my back was to, and told me not to turn around. None of my other friends saw anything, but he said there was something out there, and I felt some sort of presence behind me. We took turns describing to each other what we sensed it looked like, and we were sure both were seeing the same thing. It was a pure white humanoid, but the details of what we sensed seemed fuzzy to me. Clear description later. After a moment or so, it went away, and we felt totally spooked. This is where it gets really strange, guys. My friend and I both felt the presence making circles around the car. We began to both see green glowing circles moving quickly around. It's hard to explain, but we couldn't really see them. It was more like knowing they were there. They began to move faster, and we were freaking the hell out. Then, all of a sudden, they disappeared. Once again, we both felt these, but nobody in the back did then. Passenger seat friend and I were leaning back talking in the middle row. Then all of a sudden, on the sidewalk behind the car, there was a flash of white light and a creature sprinting down towards us. It was pure white, bipedal, somewhat humanoid, very tall and lanky. I'm going to guess maybe 7 feet in height. It had a very strange horse-shaped head, long black thin hair, black eyes, and claws. My friend and I were in the front screaming simultaneously and got the hell out of there. Once we were far away, we began to take turns describing to each other what we saw. I took everyone home. Then, as I was driving home, I still felt this presence behind me. I couldn't tell if it was in the car or not, but whatever I got to stop the sign. But whenever I got to the stop sign, I felt like it was catching up, so I sped up the rest of the way. Once I got home, it was gone. Both my friend and I could sense that whatever it was wasn't there to kill us or anything, just to make its presence known. Nothing like that has happened ever since. I am a Christian, and so isn't my friend. Thank you. I don't think it was a horse head what he saw. I think what he described, hang on a second. What he kind of described may have been a Dogman or something similar, and he just mistook like the muzzle for a horse's head, because it had claws, it had feet, and not like hooves. So I think quite possibly it was a Dogman. I don't know. I'm not. I wasn't there. Just my own thing. Anyway, I am very tired. I need to go check on Belle. I had a lot of fun with you guys tonight. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thank you, Tyler. Thank you very much. Craigers, I do too. I hate when she doesn't feel good, dude. She's like that. She's like that whiny little kid. You know what I mean? And Daddy, you give me some water? You get my cup? Your cup's right there, buddy. I can't reach it. Sully, thank you. Delirium, thank you. 99 or 59. I called you 99. 59, thank you. Enormous, good seeing you. It was great seeing you. Jarrett Keith, have a good night, my friend. Pinch. Nice seeing you. 5 rings. Big John Stud. Aramec! Love you, brother. Mr. Anderson, thank you. Truth Quest, have a great night. And guys, thank you once again, because you guys are the heart and soul of this channel. So without you, this live stream wouldn't work. I would just be talking to myself. So thank you guys for everything. Shauna Rain, have a wonderful night. Have a wonderful week, you guys. And I can't wait to see you guys next week. All right. Hopefully I will be a little more rested. I really don't talk a lot about guns. I don't know. I have a lot of guns. I just don't talk about them. I you know what I mean? Like, it's something that I you know, maybe I will, maybe I won't. I don't know. But I love you guys and thank you. Be safe, be well. Don't let your meat loaf.